Hi guys, welcome back. Last week I told you about how I quit my HPE internship 4 months early because I wanted to build something. And I documented the start of that journey. Now I've just edited and uploaded that YouTube video, got some great responses already, thank you for that. But I have found that I wanted to make it a bit more tight this time around. It was a bit loose, and so I'm going to be defining specifically what we're going to be talking about this week. So what am I going to cover this week? Well, it's going to be two different things broadly. Firstly, it's going to be my validation strategy. How do I know that this idea is worth putting any more time into? And as part of that, we're going to cover some survey results from a survey I put out last week. And then the second thing is going to be the timeline of the launch. What's the actual things and the tasks that I have to do day to day, week to week to make sure this happens? And specifically, what goals have I set myself by the end of the 10 weeks? So I'll start with that. At the end of the 10 weeks, what I want to have is first an MVP. This will be an app where users can upload and download videos and share them with other concert goers. I also want to create a series of explainers for the prospective concert goers, artists and venues so they know what the benefits of this product would be. I also want to launch a website to that effect so it would help advertise the platform and make it known. I also want to take meetings with labels and music artists and venue owners, everyone in the industry to sort of hear their opinions, what they would like, how they can shape it. And I also want to get ready for a post-internship launch. So I think for me, the timeline, what this looks like is getting everything ready for a launch later on in the year after my Meta internship. And as a stretch goal, it'd be really great to do a trial run. Maybe with a local band, something like that. We'll bring out the MVP, take some videos, add them on the app, see what they think. It'd be great to actually try the app out. So those are the broad things that I want to complete by the end of those 10 weeks. I'm going to define those goals a bit better in this video. And go through what I need to do for each of those. But yeah, that's what we're doing today. Let's get on with it. Right, it's next week, Will, already. So I think I'm going to merge weeks 2 and 3 this episode just so we catch up a little bit. I figured out what sort of voice I want to have in these videos. So to keep my brain untangled, I've come up with this sort of goal dependency graph. It's a bit indicative of like a dependency graph in sort of software engineering, I suppose. Right on top, you see branding / messaging. So for me, everything here below it, so MVP, front end, website, explainers, the slide deck, they all need to know at least somewhat what the sort of angle we're taking is. Not everything. So for example, the front end here, it doesn't make sense to go through and do all of the branding before you even start the front end, right? It's going to be a sort of iterative, agile process where you do a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. Now, I think it might be interesting to think of these tasks in terms of permission. What requires permission to do? For example, meeting with labels and preparing for a launch. You're going to need external input for that, and so you're going to need people outside of the project to be able to help, and they're going to have to be on board. So these sort of tasks here, I feel like they are tasks that sort of need permission to happen, right? And then you've got tasks here, the sort of branding, the website, the explainers, and partly the front end. These are tasks that are sort of in aid of gaining permission, right? And convincing people to get on board, whether that be the user, investors, other sort of developers, artists, venues, whatever it may be. These are sort of convincers, if you will. And then after that, we've got the permissionless stuff. So this is the things where we're completely free to do what we want, how we want it, when we want it. And I have no doubt that I could build this app with me and a small team sort of by September time. That's not a problem at all. It's whether the other things will come true, right? But the things where we need external permission. And so I'm trying to reduce that as much as possible, right? Keep as much internal as possible. But I think that's why the branding, the messaging, these explainers, these are key goals of mine. Right, so we've got this dependency graph and split it into sort of, these permissionless and permission things. Sort of one big part of the permissionless tasks, as you can see, is actually building the app. So I thought I might talk to you about the systems I've thought about using for the MVP. So here we've got a very high level sort of feature list almost of what the MVP should have. So for example, on the back end, it needs to have a server that holds all of the references to the different videos. So for example, it would be, this video is for this concert, so we need to know what the ID that references that video stored in an external CDN. What's the ID of that? A video uploader, so something that takes in video via the backend and then uploads it to that CDN. The video ref database is going to be very linked to that video reference server, but you're sort of going to have authentication, I guess, with the server as well. I'm going to use Go for the backend purely because that's something I know, I'm confident in. I'm going to host on my own VPS, use Postgres for the database, and I think bunny.net is the best video storage solution that I've tried so far. I've tested out a few, Cloudflare Stream, used AWS, used bunny.net. Bunny.net, the value proposition is great, so I think I'm going to go with that. Right, so middleware, authentication and the role-based access control and the user database, I'm literally just going to push that all off to Supabase. Don't reinvent the wheel. It's been done before. Why not use it? And then React Native for the front end for iOS and Android. I'm using React Native partly because I use Android, so I'd like to have an Android app, and some of my friends do. I know a lot of concert-goers and people sort of in England, for example, they use iOS, but I think it'd be nice to have both. And in that, we're going to have a few different screens. So we're going to need some UI for authentication, the first thing that the user sees when they get onto the app. And then a concert selector, so figure out, okay, which concert are they going to? There's going to be some system there eventually for saying, okay, you're authenticated for this concert. I need to have to think about how that's going to work. That's actually kind of an important system to figure out. I might have to integrate with the ticket distributors, might have to integrate with the venues a bit more. I'm going to have to figure that out. But yeah, the concert selector, video uploading UI, and then key one is the video watching UI. This one has to be really slick. And then obviously there's going to have to be an admin front end for uploading the audio tracks and syncing the audio tracks to the different videos. And yeah, a concert and sort of user generated content management UI. So if people upload stuff that shouldn't be on the platform, we can remove that and we can, edit the concerts, add new concerts, remove them. We need some sort of UI to do that. So that's a quick overview of the systems needed for the MVP. That might change over time, but it's a very rough draft and it helps me get started with a few of those things. So enough planning, what have I actually been working on? So I started on the front end for the app. So I've been using Windsurf to vibe code, and that's actually been really quick and useful to get me off the ground. I'm very new to React Native, so the syntax and the way of working is all quite new to me, but it's really helped me get to a place where I'm actually getting features working quite quickly. I started work on the backend architecture, getting a very simple Go server deployed onto my VPS. And the way that deploys is a very simple CI/CD pipeline I set up. So every time you push to a specific repo, it builds the Go backend and the web frontend and pushes it to my VPS. And lastly, I spent way too long trying to figure out a name for the app. It's actually quite difficult to cross-reference the trademark availability, the domain name availability, and have it be on brand. But I got there in the end. So what is that name? So that links in with the last thing I've been doing, which is working on this.
Concerts are broken. Why? Because of this. And this. We can fix that. Find out how at recappa.app.
So yeah, the name is Recappa. I think it really captures the essence of the app, recapping and reliving an experience that you've had before. The AI voice in that clip's a bit weird. It's a very early draft. You can see it's got a watermark in the bottom right. But yeah, I'm very happy with the direction it's going. Also, shout out on my friend Kip on the sound design. It's amazing. Thank you, Kip. Also, don't check that link just yet. It's a really, really bad sort of placeholder page. I tried using ChatGPT to do sort of like a one-shot website, but it kept trying to put React in it and make it too complicated. And DeepSeek was pretty good at it, but I'm still not happy with any of them yet. So I'm going to release that probably next week. It's a task for next week. But yeah, that's what I've been up to for the past couple of weeks. I'm now going to talk about validation strategy. And for that, I'm going to go to my previous self. I filmed this about a week ago. And it's going through the results of the survey that I put out about 3 weeks ago. So enjoy that. So it's next week and I was just editing the video and I thought I'd go through the survey results. So I did construct the questionnaire before I went to the gig, but we got there quite late and the music had already started. And by the time of the end, we all sort of wanted to go home. So instead I posted it on my social media and through my LinkedIn. So that was a bit of a mistake posting it on the LinkedIn because I did say that I would give a £20 Amazon gift card to someone who completed the survey. And so we got like 500 responses, loads of people just spamming it, all bots basically. Lesson learned. But I did filter those down to 50 real results or 51 or 52, something like that. And here are those results. I'm not sure if that's statistically significant yet, but it's good sort of as a first pass, I reckon. So how often do you record videos at concerts? Almost no one says never. Some people are rarely, but it's sort of mostly often, sometimes, or always, right? That's about 75% of the time. 72% of the time, people are either often, sometimes, or always. So it's quite a common occurrence. On average, how many minutes do you record per show? So peaking around sort of 2-4 minutes, not much at all, right? Some people say 10, even going up to 50 minutes at the top. That would be our power user. But for the most part, this is sort of peaking below the 10-minute range. What is your main reason for filming? So we've got personal memory, to share on social media, all of the above. Would like to say personal memory, but I also want to post the best bits, both social media and personal memory. Okay, yeah. So sort of a mixed bag on there. So this is a key one. On a scale of 1 to 5, how distracting do you find other people using their phones to film during a concert? So we've only got 12% saying none at all, sort of not distracting whatsoever. And then the rest at least find it somewhat distracting. The largest vote here would be for 4 out of 5. Distracting. That's just over a third of people. So that's sort of promising. That's sort of what we expect. It's certain gigs are actually not an issue, right? The gig I went to a few days ago, it was great. Let me pull it up. Right, so the gig I went to a few days ago, it was Sire Grey. And there was a few people holding their phones up, but it really wasn't that many, you know. This moment was the sort of the most amount of people I could see at any one point. I was like, okay, I'll take a snap. But for the most part, it's really like, you know, 1 or 2. And so that really makes sense as to why, you know, certain gigs, certain types of crowds are worse than others. So, I imagine like in classical circles, there's a lot less people filming than in like hyperpop circles. That's an interesting sort of point to look into, to study. So yeah, the next one is, have you seen some venues put stickers over phone cameras to discourage filming? It seems like 64% of people haven't heard of this. 36% of people have heard of this. Yeah, 68% of people would support it / like it. What is that? 32% of people don't like it. Okay, that's good. It's less than a third. More than 2/3 of people would support that or like it. So it's really interesting because you could have different enforcement levels, right? You could say, okay, this is a gig where the artist wants stickers over cameras and the ultimate amount of enforcement. At the end of the day, it's a social contract. People could just peel the stickers off. It's really like you can't really enforce it. Or it could be that, you know, you're just asking, okay, could you please not film as much this gig? Or it could be a case of, you know, whatever, we don't mind. We're just wanting the footage to be on the platform afterwards. So there is that sliding scale in terms of how much reduction you want. Is an interesting point. So next one is, how often do you revisit your concert videos? 2% of people, I assume that's one person, said weekly. Every month would be 8%, so that's 4 people. You can see 90% of people are saying every few months, once a year, or never. So it's a lot rarer that people revisit those videos, and so it makes it even more unnecessary when you cause these distractions for people, and it could be providing benefit to others, right? I know that I like to watch live shows online with high quality audio, high quality video. I love it, and I'm sure a lot more people would watch these videos if they were sort of more high quality and they were telling a story and there was some high quality audio there. It's a real shame that, you know, 90% of people, of respondents to this survey, are saying that you know, they don't revisit those videos. Yeah, they're still taking them. Do you sometimes forget which concert a given video is from? Just under a quarter saying, or sometimes or often. So this one, maybe it's actually not something that we're going to focus on. I was thinking you could sort of use it as a sort of diary of concerts, because I know that I've looked back sort of 6 years and been like, oh God, I don't remember what gig this is. But yet the validation doesn't seem to agree with that. So we can put that on the back burner and see later on down the line whether that's something people would like or not. Would you pledge not to film if you knew footage was available later? So definitely not, saying 4%. Probably not, that's 22%. So just over a quarter would say, you know, they're sort of feeling a bit more negative about it. Just under 3/4, so 74% are saying I'd be open to trying it or sure. So that's really positive to hear. So yeah, that just about wraps up today. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video a bit better than last time. I'm upping the production quality every time, sort of learning a lot of new tricks. If you've got any suggestions, let me know down in the comments. And always, if you want to help out with the project, I've added a Google Meet link in the description. Check it out. Come book a meeting. I'd love to have a chat with you. All right, thanks guys. Appreciate your time. Bye-bye.